Early voting begins Friday in a couple of states around the country, and importantly for our area, right here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. In fact, I will be out at the Fairfax County Government Center beginning at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning to cast my ballot and meet with you if you'd like to come out there with me. For more on this subject, I want to bring in the chairman of the Republican National Committee now, Michael Whatley, joins us on the phone. Sir, great to have you back with us.
Hey, Vincent, it's always good to talk to you and your listeners.
It is great. It's cool that now if we're going to have early voting, we may as well do it among the first states in Virginia. What are you expecting in terms of the early voting patterns among Republicans?
What we're seeing is an uptick across the country in it. I fully expect that we're going to have half of all votes cast before Election Day across the country this year.
Wow.
And so what that means for us at the RNC and with the Trump campaign is we've got to go out and talk to those voters before they vote. So we've essentially set up the first ever national early vote program where we have moved our messaging dramatically earlier in the election cycle. You think about it, if we're setting up teams to go knock on doors the weekend before the election, or we're setting it up so our big mail drops are taking place, the weekend before the election, half the people have already voted. We're wasting our money, and those people voted without hearing from us. So we're in the field now already. We've got Trump 447 up and running, and we are sending out mail. We're sending out our messages. We're on TV, and we are talking to voters right now, trying to get them up and out. And as you said, look, we have the rules. We know what the rules are in advance. We need to take advantage of them. There are a lot of people who cannot vote on Election Day for whatever reason. Well, we need them to go vote early, or we can have them vote by mail in the states where we're allowed to vote by mail. We want to take advantage of any opportunity to have people vote. As President Trump said, it is great if you want to vote early. It's great if you want to vote by mail. It's great if you want to vote on Election Day. The key is you got to make a plan, and you got to execute that plan and deliver your vote.
Michael Whatley, when it comes to the strategic advantage that this affords you and the people who are operating on the Republican campaign, what are those advantages? I've heard that if you vote early, that takes you out of the pool of people who have to receive campaign mail or door knocks. In other words, voting early allows the Republican Party to save money and to use it on people who haven't voted yet. Is that right?
It is absolutely right. I'll tell you a funny story from North Carolina. Back when I was the North Carolina party chair, I had a lady come up to me at the event, and she said, "You guys are calling me 5 times a day. I'm getting all these people knocking on my door. I'm getting all this mail. I'm getting these, the digital messages and the text." And I said, "Well, ma'am, if you just vote, I'll leave you alone." But the story behind that is it costs money for us to have the teams knocking on the door and making the phone calls. It costs money for us to send the mail. It costs money for us to continue to reach out to those people. You look at Virginia, which has a 45-day early vote program. If we have people go vote early, 45 days out, that's 45 days that I don't have to go out and try and get them to vote.
Yeah.
We know that they've already voted, right? And so that allows us to go out and talk and focus on other people, focus on other voters and get those low propensity voters that are going to be in. And it also makes sure, we lost a very winnable race out in Nevada back in 22 because Republicans vote on Election Day. And in northern Nevada, we had a huge snowstorm. And so people didn't go vote, because they couldn't get to the polls. And so, we want to take that type of an event off the table and have people go out and cast that vote early whenever you have the opportunity. I vote on the first day of early voting every year because I don't know where I'm going to be on Election Day.
Yeah.
I'm running around, the country trying to win these elections. So I want to make sure that I get my vote in because Election Day is not an option for me.
And as far as people who are concerned about voter integrity and ensuring that their vote belongs to them, if you do get your vote in, it removes your name from the system so that nobody else can walk in and present themselves as you, right?
Absolutely. And we certainly feel very, very strongly about voter ID and the requirements that we have. We feel very strongly about having protections on the mail-in ballots, signature requirements, witness requirements. They have to be in, by Election Day, things along those lines. But when you go vote, you absolutely right that you're not going to have an instance where you go in and they say, no, somebody's already voted in your name. And so it is absolutely critical for us on the election integrity side to protect every vote. And that's why we want to make sure that we have people, in the room every time a vote is cast or counted, so everybody knows my vote is actually going to count.
I've heard that this year might be a little different for some Republicans because they're making it into more of a social event, just getting together with friends, bringing them out to the polls, all doing it together. I know for a lot of Republican voters, or at least I feel like this in the past, it's always just an individual thing you do. You show up, you vote, you do your duty, and you get out of there. But do you get the sense that there's a different energy around voting this year?
There is. It's funny. I was talking with President Trump about early voting. And he said, well, look, I mean, people are excited. They want to vote for me. They should go vote for me as soon as they can. And I think making it into a party, and working that is really good. One of the things that we have seen all across the country is folks that will get together, pitch a pop-up tent in the parking lot, have a cup of coffee, have a donut, bring in 40, 50, 100 people, have a gathering, have a get-together, and then folks will go vote. And folks will go out and knock on doors and make phone calls and help get others out to vote. So it is absolutely a community event.
It's going to be cool. Yeah, I'm like I said at the outset, that's exactly what I'm doing tomorrow at the Fairfax County Government Center. I'm going to show up with Corey, my producer, and we're going to have the big WMAL truck out there, and I'm just going to bring coffee and donuts and see who shows up. See if anybody wants to make it a party with me out in the parking lot, because I think it's great. I actually think it's a good chance to just get together with like-minded Americans who want to see things get fixed up.
I could not agree more. We did a series when I was the North Carolina party chair called Coffee with the Chairman, and that's exactly what we did throughout the early voting. And you really do meet the best people when you're out there, and these are people who love their country, they love their states, and they really, truly want to go out there and make a difference.
You mentioned at the outset that because of where the early voting starts, not just in Virginia, but across the country, that you're undertaking efforts that you would have normally taken closer to Election Day. Can you give me, what's the intel look like as you compare yourself to what the Democrats are doing? How do you stack up against your opposition?
Well, we feel great. I think that the enthusiasm that we're seeing on the ground for President Trump is extraordinary.
Yeah.
The polling numbers match that and bear that out, that we're doing better in every battleground state than we were on this exact date in 2020 or in 2016.
And when you say polling numbers, are you talking about the public polling? Are you talking about internals or both?
Both. Absolutely. We feel very consistently that we are winning in these battleground states. They're very narrow. They're tight. But we're doing much better in Virginia than we did in 2020 or in 2016.
Right.
The same with all of our battleground states. But you can feel it. You can see it, and you go out and you see, Donald Trump having a rally last night in the Nassau Coliseum in New York. The fact that, he's doing rallies in downtown Philadelphia, downtown Detroit. He went and did a rally in New Jersey. 107,000 people showed up. It really, truly is remarkable that every corner of this country, the enthusiasm is there for him. The Democrats are so excited about their ticket that they pushed their candidate off the stage and had to replace him.
Yeah.
And here we are, a couple months later, the polling numbers, her sugar high has worn off, and people are realizing how serious this election is. When you talk about the economy and you talk about prices and you talk about grocery prices and gasoline prices and housing prices, that's a real impact on every American family. You talk about, what we're seeing from a crime perspective, with a soft on crime candidate and the Democrats who would rather defund the police than back the blue, that there are real world impacts on the safety of every community right now. The southern border, 10 million, 11 million, 12 million illegal immigrants have come across that border, bringing migrant crime and fentanyl into every American community. Virginia and Maryland, they are now border states, and that's having a real impact on communities. And on the world stage, we're closer to World War III than we've ever been. And that is because America is weak. And when America is weak, the world is a very dangerous place. So I think that, this is a very serious election cycle. And what we're seeing is voters who are really taking stock and saying, do I want America to be strong or do I want America to be weak? And that's a question that if you want America to be strong, Donald Trump is your guy, no question about it.
Do you find it comical when you hear people like Kamala Harris or Tim Walz's wife use the phrase that it's time to, quote, turn the page? They've been using this a lot on the campaign trail. And every time they say it, I laugh at it because I'm like, what do you mean turn the page? What page are we staring at right now? I thought that was Biden-Harris.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, this is her administration. This is her administration. These are her policies. She has said throughout the course of her conversations with the press, all three of them, as well as, her rallies and the debate, she's going to double down on every single failed policy that the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration has had in effect over the last 3 years. The only change that she said she's going to make is on economic policy, where she's going to continue the inflationary spending. But on top of that, she's going to implement the largest tax hike in American history. And so American families are going to have less money in their pocket and pay more to live. And that's not a good equation for any American family. And so, you're absolutely right. We do need to turn the page. We need to turn the page and get President Trump back in office and bring back the economy that he built, during his term, which was the strongest economy we ever had. We had the lowest unemployment ever among women, the lowest unemployment ever among blacks, among Hispanics, and we had more people in the workforce than we've ever had in history. So that's the American economy that we really, truly need to see. That's the page we need to turn.
Yeah, and the thing you have to overcome is the meddlesome nature of the left. I can't tell you how many stories. I'm sure you see all of them too, Michael Whatley. Like, for instance, this week, the Associated Press reporting that Democrats have been putting up fake MAGA candidates in various House districts across the country to try and steal those elections. That we saw the Iranians have apparently hacked the Trump campaign and then fed the information to the Harris campaign to try and help them along. The media, of course, is all in on trying to push Kamala Harris across the finish line. So, try as you might, you do have a lot of headwinds that you're running into from the establishment that's trying to stop a Trump victory.
It is. And it's funny that they talk about Donald Trump as a threat to democracy. When you talk about the weaponization of the judicial system, tried to take him off the ballot. They tried to take him off the campaign trail. They tried to put him in jail. He survived 2 assassination attempts. Ugh. And then you see that they're working with Iran, to try and get information from hacked computer systems. It really is stunning. And in the most undemocratic move we've ever seen, after their primaries are over, Joe Biden got 14 million votes. They pushed him off the stage. They replaced him with a coronation of Kamala Harris, who has never gotten a single delegate in a single state, either in 2020 or in 2024. So they're running for president, a woman who's never gotten a single vote for president.
Amazing. Yeah. In fact, Michael Whatley got the same number of votes as Kamala Harris in the Democrat primary. Can you believe that? It's incredible.
I'm pretty proud of that.
Way to go. Hey, Michael Whatley, chairman of the Republican National Committee, thanks for joining us today and for helping us to promote early voting starting tomorrow in Virginia. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.